Imagine you could look inside your body right now, almost like using a scanner, and zoom in on your midsection. You'd expect to see layers of stored fat sitting there, explaining why your belly looks the way it does, but what if that's not the full picture? What if what you're seeing isn't just fat? What if there are hidden factors quietly shaping your waistline that most people never even consider? And here's the part that should make you pause: that's exactly why some people can notice a visible difference in as little as 7 days, even when they haven't lost a single pound of actual fat. And if you've been trying everything, eating less, moving more, staying disciplined, yet your belly still feels like it won't respond the way it used to, this is where things start to get confusing. Because logically, it should be working. But your body doesn't always follow logic. It follows signals. So the real question becomes: what signals are currently shaping your midsection right now? Because there are a few hidden mechanisms at play here, things that don't show up on a scale, but can still change how your body looks and feels. And most people are completely focused on the wrong one. Now here's where it gets interesting. Once you understand what's actually influencing that tight, stubborn belly, you start to realize something important. The problem isn't always how much you're doing, it's what your body is responding to. And when you begin to see that clearly, you also start to understand why some people can wake up, look in the mirror, and feel noticeably different in just 7 days, while others keep struggling for months without knowing why. So before we go deeper, let's break open what's really controlling that process and why your body might be holding on more than you think. Now here's where most people unknowingly fall into a trap. They assume their belly problem is simple. They look in the mirror and think, this is just fat. I just need to get rid of it. But what if that assumption is exactly what's keeping you stuck? Because your body doesn't respond to effort the way you think, it responds to signals. And when those signals feel extreme, your body reacts differently than expected. Here's the part most people miss. When you start eating less, skipping meals, or pushing harder, your body doesn't see progress. It doesn't think, great, we're getting healthier. Instead, it quietly shifts into protection mode. And in that state, something important changes. Your system doesn't try to lose faster, it tries to hold on tighter. It becomes more efficient at keeping what it already has. So the harder you try to force change, the more your body resists it. And this is where frustration begins. You're doing more, eating less, trying harder. But nothing changes. Sometimes, it even feels worse. Your belly still feels tight. Your body still feels stuck. And you start asking, why isn't this working? But the real issue isn't effort. It's the signal your body is receiving. Because when your system feels stressed or restricted, it doesn't prioritize releasing. It prioritizes holding. Holding energy. Holding water. Holding shape. So instead of progress, your body becomes stable, resistant, harder to change. And that's the hidden mistake. You're trying to force your body to release, while your body is actively trying to hold on. So the real question is, how do you change that signal? Because once you do, your body stops resisting, and finally starts responding. So if forcing your body isn't the answer, then what actually is? Because here's something most people never pause to consider: your body isn't random. It's responding to a few very specific internal signals. And if even one of those signals is off, your midsection can stay the same, no matter how much effort you put in, and that's exactly where most people get stuck. They focus on doing more, instead of understanding what's actually controlling the outcome. Now here's where things get interesting. There are only a few key things that truly influence how your body looks and behaves at the waistline, not dozens. Not hundreds, just a small set of internal variables that either keep your body holding on, or allow it to let go. And most people are completely focused on the wrong one, because what you see in the mirror isn't just fat sitting there, it's your body reacting to what it believes is happening inside. If it senses stress, it tightens. If it senses imbalance, it holds. If it senses instability, it resists change, which means the problem isn't just what you're doing, it's what your body is responding. 2, and once you understand that, you start to see the bigger picture, because there are three main things that influence this entire process, three internal levers that quietly control whether your midsection expands or starts to shrink. Point 1 is tied to how your body handles internal stress signals, another is directly connected to how much fluid your body decides to hold on to, and the third influences how your digestive system either creates pressure or releases it. Now here's the key insight: you don't need to fix everything at once, you just need to understand which of these signals is currently keeping your body in a holding state, because the moment that signal changes, your body doesn't need to be forced anymore. It starts adjusting on its own, and that's the shift most people are missing. Not more effort, but the right internal conditions, and once you start looking at it this way, you realize something powerful. This isn't about fighting your body, it's about learning how to guide it, and in the next step, we're going to look at the first and most powerful lever that controls this entire process, the one that has the fastest impact on how your body looks and feels, and the one most people completely overlook. Let's break that down next. Now here's where most people think they understand the answer, but miss the deeper layer. They hear stress affects belly fat and assume that's the full story. But what if it's not just stress, it's how your body interprets recovery that really matters. Because your system isn't just reacting to pressure, it's constantly deciding one thing in the background: am I safe, or am I still under threat? And when your body stays in that under threat state for too long, something subtle happens. It doesn't just feel stressed, it starts behaving differently. You may notice it without realizing it. Your body feels tighter, your midsection looks more expanded, you wake up feeling less refreshed, and your system doesn't seem to bounce back the way it used to. That's not random. That's your body staying in a holding pattern. And here's the part most people don't expect: the longer your system stays in that state, the more it prioritizes holding on to everything, instead of releasing anything. But here's where the shift happens. Because your body doesn't stay in that state forever if you give it the right conditions. There are moments during rest, especially during deeper sleep cycles, where your system checks in, and in those moments, it makes a decision: hold on or release. But if that recovery window is constantly disrupted, your body keeps choosing the same response: holding, protecting, staying the same. Which means no matter what you're doing during the day, you could still be reinforcing the same internal signal every night. And that's why some people notice a difference in just a short period of time, because once that signal begins to shift, your body doesn't fight as much anymore. It starts loosening its grip, reducing internal pressure, and that's when your midsection can begin to look and feel different, not because you forced it, but because the signal changed. And when that happens, your body finally starts responding the way it was designed to. But this is only one piece of the system, and there's another signal working just as strongly behind the scenes, one that controls how your body handles energy, storage, and release throughout the day, and that's what we'll uncover next. Now let's look at something most people misunderstand, because if stress determines how your body holds, then this next factor influences how your body releases. And here's the part most people never question: your body doesn't stay in one mode all day. It switches, and one of the key signals controlling that switch is something happening every time you eat. Now, before you assume this is just another eat less, lose weight idea, pause for a second, because that's not where this goes. Here's what's actually important: every time your body receives food, it responds with a signal. And when that signal is active, your system shifts into a very specific state. A state where storing becomes easier and releasing becomes harder, which means if that signal is constantly being triggered throughout the day, your body may never fully leave that state, not because you're overeating, but because you're constantly sending the same message. And that's where things get interesting, because your body doesn't just respond to what you do, it responds to how often you do it, which means even small, repeated signals can keep your system locked in the same pattern for hours. Now here's the part most people miss: it's not about perfection, no, it's about giving your body space to shift out of that constant holding pattern, because when that signal finally drops low enough, something important starts to happen. Your system begins to change its behavior. It stops holding as tightly. It becomes more open, more balanced, and more willing to release what it's been keeping inside. And that's when you can start noticing real changes, not because you forced anything, but because your body finally had the chance to switch modes. And here's the question that matters most: are you unintentionally keeping your body in that same holding state all day, without realizing it? Because if you are, that could be one of the reasons your midsection hasn't been responding the way you expect, and once that changes, everything else starts to move differently too. But there's still one more piece to this system, and this one is the most overlooked of all, because it has nothing to do with hormones or timing, and everything to do with how your body physically processes what's inside it, and that's what we're going to uncover next. Now here's something most people completely overlook, and it's the reason your body can feel different from one day to the next, even when nothing about your routine has changed, because not everything around your midsection is fat. Sometimes it's internal load, a buildup of pressure from how your system is processing what's inside. And here's the part most people don't consider: two people can eat the same food, follow the same habits, and still look completely different. Why? Because what happens inside their system isn't the same. Now think about your digestive system like a flow. When everything is moving smoothly, things pass through efficiently, but when that flow slows down, things begin to stay longer than they should, and that's when pressure starts to build, and not from extra fat, but from what's being held inside. That internal buildup can create a feeling of tightness, a sense of being swollen or expanded, even when your eating hasn't changed. And this is why some days you feel fine, and other days, you feel completely different, without any clear reason. But here's the part that changes the way you see this: your body responds to its internal environment, not just your habits. So if that internal system is under strain, your body reflects it. But when things start moving properly again, that pressure begins to ease, the tightness softens, and your midsection can start to feel lighter. Not because you forced anything, but because the system is finally working the way it should. And once you understand this, it becomes clear that this isn't about just one factor. It's about how all the signals we've discussed work together: stress, storage signals, internal flow, all influencing how your body responds. Which means if even one of these is slightly off, your body can stay in the same pattern longer than you expect. And that's exactly why so many people feel stuck, even when they're doing things right. Because they're only looking at the surface, not what's happening underneath. And once you start paying attention to that, everything begins to make more sense. But there's one final piece left, and this is the part that connects everything together, because it explains why your body has been resisting change, even when you've been putting in effort. Let's break that down next. Now everything comes together, because the real reason your body hasn't responded isn't just one thing. It's the lack of alignment between all the signals: stress, storage signals, internal pressure. When these are mixed or inconsistent, your body doesn't move forward. It holds, because from its perspective, mixed signals mean uncertainty, and uncertainty triggers protection. That's why your body resists change, even when you're trying hard. But here's the shift: when your signals become consistent, your body stops guessing. It stops resisting, and it starts responding, slowly at first, then more noticeably over time. Not because you forced it, but because it finally understands what you're asking it to do. And that's the real key: not effort, but direction. Because your body doesn't need more pressure, it needs clear signals it can follow. And once those signals are in place, your system begins to adjust on its own. Now here's the truth most people miss: this is exactly why so many people stay stuck, not because they're not trying, but because they're sending mixed signals without realizing it. And until that changes, the results stay the same. But now you see the pattern, you understand the system, and that gives you an advantage most people don't have. So here's the question: are your daily habits sending consistent signals, or are they keeping your body confused? Because the moment your signals become clear and aligned, your body has no choice but to respond. That's how real change happens. A backhand index pointing right. Watch this video. If you want to learn the exact before-bed routine that helps your body stay in the right fat-burning state overnight, without overcomplicating anything, and once you understand that, you'll finally see how to work with your body instead of against it.